city, 3 times order-rich Leningrad, the second largest city in our homeland. It is home to more than 3 million people. It is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Leningrad is located in the northwestern part of the Soviet Union off the coast of the Baltic Sea at the mouth of the Neva River. At the entrance to the Finnish Bay of Neva is divided into separate sleeves. It absorbs tributaries and forms a large number of islands. On these islands in 1703 Peter the Great found the Peter and Pavlo Fortress in St. Petersburg City. The city grew with fabulous speed. Here, Russia, after years of persistent struggle with the Swedes, has established itself as a maritime power, triumphantly joined the circle of European states, has been able to communicate readily and freely with the whole world. It is hard to imagine that only 2.5 centuries ago there were low marshy spaces. How much work it took to raise the city above the swampy plain, pressing granite embankments. Much of the city rises above sea level by 2.5 meters. Yet in the autumn, when strong winds drive water from the bay, many areas are in danger of floating. The city experienced several devastating floods. In 1824, the water rose 410 centimeters above the ordinary. In 1924, 392 centimeters. Leningrad is not without reason called Northern Venice. There are more than 100 islands, 600 bridges connecting them into one. These bridges are very diverse. Snowblue Bridge, reinforced concrete Volodarsky Bridge, wooden bridge in Central Park. The bridge entered into all the guides of the world in each bridge. And a bridge over a non-extension channel that's long lost its purpose. White night, when the city falls asleep, bridges are opened and courts pass on the Neva. The sea opens the gates to the west, and the Nevadan canals and connect the city with the internal waterways of the side. Leningrad is the only major city in the world located at such high geographical latitude. The unequal charm of his white nights is sung by the great Pushkin. I love your Peter's Cretan, I love your slim, strict image. An unusually powerful watercourse. Its coastal granite. The fence has a cast transparent pattern your brooding nights, transparent to light, moonless glow. When you write in my room or read without a lamp, and clear are the sleeping masses of deserted streets, and the light of the ember beneath. And don't let the darkness of the night into the golden sky. One dawn to change, another rushes to give the night half an hour. Nevsky Avenue is city's central highway. One of the monumental buildings of Leningrad is the Zek Cathedral. In 1914, St. Petersburg was renamed Petrograd. From 1708 to 1917, it was the capital of the Russian Empire. The Winter Palace was the former residence of the Russian kings. A peaceful demonstration of waters was shown at the approaches to the palace square and other streets and squares of Petersburg. The bloody events of 9 January 1905 marked the beginning of the First Russian Revolution. Monument to the victims on January 9. The life and activities of Vladimir Lenin are inextricably linked with the history of the city. Here in April of the 17th, he proclaimed, "Long live the Socialist Revolution." From here, from Smolny, he led the October Horn uprising. The legendary Krauser Aurora. From this gun was made the historic shot that heralded the beginning of a new era in the history of mankind. Smolny, this building housed the world's first labor and peasant government. The head of the first Soviet government was Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. In Smolny, decrees were adopted on power, on land, on peace. In the center of the city, a strict monument to the revolutionaries who gave their lives for the happiness of the people, was built on the field of Mars. At the will of the turns, the nations tormented each other. Who stood walking Petersburg and first began a war of all oppressed against all oppressors in order to kill seed of war. Here lies 623,000 Leningrad. Mother Motherland will forever remember their feet. Immediately after the war, in honor of the victory over fascist Germany, the Leningrad people have broken 2 large parks. Caesar Victory Park stretches on the shore of the Gulf of Finland. Next to it is built Kurov Stadium, one of the largest stadiums in the country. It holds over 100,000 people. In another part of the city grew Moscow Victory Park. In recent years, new construction has flourished. But beyond the old town came the new houses of Moscow Avenue. Soon a new large bridge will cross the Nevy River. It will connect with the center of the newly built areas of the Smolny. Every day the city is beautiful, and even the native Leningrad people do not always recognize the places where their youth was held. Hundreds of thousands of Leningrad residents receive comfortable apartments in new houses built on former wastelands and gardens. After the war, Leningrad was enriched with a new mode of transport, subway, electric underground road, where stations appeared in many districts of Leningrad. The long distances of a growing city are now covered in a few minutes. Leningrad is the second industrial center of the country. For times old a bearing Kurov plant. It was here that the first Soviet tractor was created in 1922. Production of Kurovsky Zavod, tractors, and today take pride of place. Assembly of tractor on conveyor. Production culture has grown immeasurably. Tractor Kurovets is 12 times more powerful than its distant ancestor. The strength of these tractors corresponds to the boundless expanse of our fields. The middle factory named after the 22nd Congress of the party. This factory makes the most powerful in the world. Water, steam, and gas turbines that operated the largest power plants in our country and abroad. Factory test of steam turbine. The plant Electrozilla produce electric generators and other electrical equipment. Generators with the brand Electrozilla are known all over the world. Processing motor to required dimensions. Starter assembly. Leningrad products are very diverse. From mecha sabrekas and ocean ships to precision optical instruments and devices. In Leningrad, a large number of heavy and light industry enterprises. See trade port. Here comes goods from abroad. From here, the products of our factories and plants go abroad. Sea lanes connect the city with 50 countries of the world. Not an hour does not stop work in the port. Here you can hardly see people, planes, various machines and machinists loading and unloading ships. In addition to river and sea routes, there are 12 railways and many overhead lines. The airport receives and dispatches hundreds of aircraft daily. Leningrad is the largest cultural center. Famous Petrovskaya Kunstkamera. First Russian Museum, cradle of Russian chefs. Next to the Kunstkammer is the old building of the Russian Academy of Sciences. For 2 centuries, the voice of the most prominent Russian scientists have been heard within these walls. Stenova University is located in a building built while Peter lived. More than 13,000 students study here. Technological Institute, which bears the name of the Leningrad Council. Polytechnic Institute named after Michael Kalinin. There are many theaters, halls, and cultural palaces in Leningrad. An academic theater named after Pushkin. Opera and Ballet Theater named after Kurov. The Palace of Culture named after Gorky. More than 13 million volumes include the fund of the State Public Library, which bears the name of Saltykova Shchedrina. Vladimir Ilyich Lenin worked in this hall. The library is the second most important library in the Soviet Union. In the Marble Palace, near the Marsa Field, there is a branch of the Central Museum of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. Historic car from which in April 1917, Lenin called for a socialist revolution. The life and activities of the great leader are reflected in numerous exhibits. State Order of Lenin Hermitage, the greatest collection of sculpture, paintings, and art objects of all times and peoples. It has almost 2 million visitors per year. The halls of the State Hermitage contain priceless collections of the greatest art motion. Many more generations will pass through these halls, drawing joy and inspiration from the ever-living source of art. The State Russian Museum is located on the Art Square near the monument to Alexander Pushkin. There are collected paintings and sculptures that make up the pride of national Russian art. Works by outstanding masters Shurikov, Antikovsky, Krylov, Repin, and many other Russian and Soviet artists. That's a town on the Navy. A city of courage and lava. The city of sense and art. The city of the Great October Revolution. One of the most beautiful cities in the world.